Dean Legge going to wrap up Georgia's really dominating win over Auburn, a 27-6 win over the number 7 team in the country. If you went back and watched this game, you're going to see everything that I saw when when Auburn played Kentucky, which is that Georgia was going to be able to physically handle Auburn. Auburn's going to have a couple more losses this season because of their situation on their lines. Their defense is not close to what it's been in the past. That's going to be the problem for Auburn. For Georgia, I mean, it seems pretty clear they found their quarterback. And I mean, I'm not the only one that is surprised that it's come to this, but I don't think people should be negative about what the future will bring with Stetson Bennett. You're talking about a guy that is here to play for Georgia, period. He's not worried about the NFL. He's not worried about this, that, or the other. He's transferred in, yeah, but, this is his dream school. This is his dream situation, and he's going to take it completely seriously. Is he limited in size? Yes. Is he limited in ability? Maybe not as much as people are making it out to be. Did you see the throw to George Pickens? How about the scramble around, just his play on third down? With that said, he can play better than he did tonight. I thought he played fine. I think he could play and should play better as the season goes along. They got a tall task, this not necessarily just this coming week, but these next 2 weeks. Tennessee is going to be a better Tennessee than Georgia's seen since, this is going to be the best Tennessee team since 2016. And then obviously Alabama will be a major struggle for Georgia on the road. But, this is a team that's going to be reckoned with. Right now, it seems like they're on the path to the playoff. The question is, will they win the conference championship? People that I talk to and respect who have been around the block a little bit, when you ask them, can this team win the national championship with Stetson Bennett? The answer comes back is yes, which is not what I was expecting. So he's got to get the ball out quick, which he has been doing. He's got to continue to have a run game, which Zamir seems to be getting back to what I have gotten used to with him being special. And then James Cook, at the same time, too, had a good night until I'm not quite sure what happened to him, but it did not seem serious. Kirby said he could come back into the game, but they just chose not to do it. It's going to be tough for Tennessee to come in here and win. This defense is as good. I just don't even know how to describe it. They are difficult to deal with all of the time. And when you are that good, for lack of a better term, it's difficult to lose. And, Georgia would have had to lose on special teams, which didn't happen. And they would have had to turn it over on offense, which didn't happen. If they can control the run game, and if they can do what they did with Stetson, who can really uncork them sometimes on third down, it's going to be hard to see this team losing. Maybe they lose to Alabama. I think they're better than Florida. Florida's problem with Georgia is going to be a matchup situation. Their defense is porous, and their offense features a very good quarterback who stands still in the pocket. He's going to be a target. Bo Nix escaped tonight probably 5 or 6 times. Kyle Trask ain't escaping. So this is going to be about the ball coming out quick when they play the Gators. That may be the case when they play Mac Jones in Alabama. Alabama just has more weapons, though. Who is Florida's running back? I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, having watched that entire game today against South Carolina, who can't tackle to save their lives. So I think this is, whenever you blow out a top 10 team, there's something to be said for that. So people are just going to have to process this in their own way. They're not used to seeing success in the form of Stetson Bennett, and it's bothering them. Like, the kids on the team don't care, but people like me, people in the media, fans for sure, they love it. But there's still this doubt, and I think that I don't know after a while. The guy is just straight up getting the job done, and he's a playmaker, but you don't want to have to make him make plays. You don't want any quarterback to have to make plays. Trevor Lawrence against LSU getting his, face handed to him half the night. You want your offense to perform. this offense is not performing the way that it could, and it probably should. There were plenty of plays left out there tonight. Kirby's right about that. I mean, there are some suspect plays, but boy, the run game was legit. Anytime you run for 200 yards on Auburn, I mean, this is not the Auburn of old, but anytime you run for 200 yards on Auburn, you're going to win. I mean, you did something right, and because this is a big physical, brother fight with those guys. Other thing was, the atmosphere here in Athens was about as good as you're going to get for this current situation. I mean, everyone's got their masks. You can see the seats behind me, socially distanced. I think people did a pretty good job with all of that. That it was a night game. I mean, it was electric in here. It doesn't make sense, but it was electric. And hey, as I say, Nick Saban said, it is what it is. And Georgia made the most of it. If you were a recruit here tonight, which there were none, because they can't be here, but if you were just a fan, this is a good time. People had a good time here. And you see, there is a home field advantage here. I do want to talk just very briefly about the national picture. Georgia needs to keep winning as many games as possible. I don't know. I mean, I do not expect Clemson to lose a game. Certainly not two. But there do now sort of suddenly appear to be a couple of games maybe where Clemson could lose. Miami this week, which they should not lose. Up at Notre Dame, they should not lose. Now you've got the Gators and Dogs. One of them will lose. Alabama and Georgia, one of them will lose. Georgia needs to win the Florida game for sure. That matters a lot. But it's becoming more and more that, a second team from the SEC is going to get in the playoff. I mean, it's becoming clear to me at least. And, that's what's so important here. Georgia struggles against Arkansas. They don't look so bad right now after they took Mississippi State and beat them. You look at the Big 12, it's a straight up, it's not a dumpster fire. It's a disaster with a tornado looming. I mean, only undefeated team is Oklahoma State. That's not what you want if you're a conference. The SEC is clearly the best league right now, and honestly, it looks like it's going to be the best league, period. The Pac-12 will screw itself up. The Big 12 has already screwed itself up. The Big 10 will push Ohio State to the champion. Someone from the Ohio State the Big 10 is going to play in the playoff. Two SEC teams are probably getting in this year. So if you're Georgia, the Gators, and Bama, which are apparently the three teams in this league right now, those three teams just need to win as much as possible. Obviously, the conference champion is going to go. The question is, if it's not Alabama, how do they get in? If Florida doesn't win the conference, how do they get in? If Georgia doesn't win the conference, how do they get in? So as many wins as possible by as impressive a margin as possible. Georgia's played 2 games now in the league and have won by going away margins. Part of it's because of the defense, but now suddenly these last 6 quarters, the offense is woken up. This is a challenging little run here. Anytime you play Auburn, it's a tough game. Now you got to deal with Tennessee, who has physical kids, period. Georgia, you have not won the Tennessee game yet, so you might want to concentrate all your focus on that. These kids, though, their message discipline is on point. They're saying exactly what they should be saying. They're playing the way that they should, and this is I don't know if they're a dangerous team. They're just good. So I know it's strange. They're going to have a hard time understanding Stetson Bennett, because if this was about beating Arkansas and only Arkansas, and then they come and lose to Auburn with Stetson gets dismissed. He played better at Arkansas, but they won a more convincing game here. And so people are just going to have to get used to it, and it's okay. It's not natural. But, the throws are there. The run is there. The management of the team is there. He ain't Jake Fromm, but he's playing better than Jake Fromm did at the end of last year, no question. Now, what we don't know completely is what's going to happen when, it's not cutting time, for lack of a better term. But they were losing at the half to Arkansas. This was a top 10 game. I don't know. And I think you still got to develop Dwan Mathis. Dean Legge from Dog Post, wrapping it up here from Sanford Stadium. Thanks for listening. Make sure you join our newsletter, and we'll see you on the website.